Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the car, as you can see. Today I thought I'd bring you along for a little work with me vlog. Today's Sunday. On Sundays I work off Cinnamon's training, so I do all the feed, all the turnouts. I also usually ride a few client horses and Cinnamon. So today I have kind of a lot that I plan to do, but I have 3 horses to ride. And I really want to give Cinnamon a bath because she's a little bit dirty. And then I also am looking to clean up my locker a little bit. I have some things that I know I want to donate. So I'm hoping I can get to that today also. So without further ado, I will see you down at the barn. I'm going to finish my coffee because that's definitely a must for today. And we'll go feed the horses together. Okay, so the first thing on the docket for the morning is to get the horses fed. So some of them get fed in little ground feeders like the horse I'm feeding right now. And then most of them have little buckets off to the side that they get fed in. This horse, the stall was getting cleaned while I was feeding him, so I was just trying to make sure that it was off to the side so the stall cleaner was not having him in his way. Next was Cinnamon, and then Poseidon, and then the very end horse is a little chestnut. She's really cute. So then on the way back, just stacking the buckets in reverse order so it makes it really easy to make dinner. And now that all the horses are happy and munching their breakfast, I'm gonna let them eat for a minute, and then it's time to put them on the hot walker and then also in the turnouts. So then it's time to get the horses ready to go on the hot walker and also in the turnout. So we like to kind of alternate which one they do each day so that they're not always going on the walker or always going in the turnout. This is Jolly. This is my trainer's horse and who I'm going to be riding a little bit later. I'm just taking him out to the walker. Cinnamon's getting her stall clean, so say a little hi to her. And then off to the walker we go. So normally we split the walker with another barn. So normally we get 3 spots and then they get 3 spots. But actually today they were not using the walker, so we got to use all 6 spots, which meant we got the horses done really quickly, which this video was filmed a little while ago, so it was in the summer. So then it's good to get the horses done really early in the morning before it gets super hot outside. So Jolly was the first to go on there. And then Ricardo, my boyfriend, also works with me on Sundays, so he was bringing another horse, and we just filled up the walker real quick. Yeah. Luckily, if we can use 6 spots, it goes by really quickly, like I said. So we usually have 4 turnouts and then 6 horses in the walker, which is 10 horses out at a time, which makes it really easy to get them all done. And if I have time, to get them to do both. So sometimes I'll put the horse on the walker and then in the turnout, or vice versa.
Oh my goodness. All the scratches.
On this particular day, it wasn't super hot, but we definitely did want to get done a little bit earlier in the morning. So here we are just loading up the walker. And now that the walker is full, we're just putting our last horse on here. We're gonna start putting horses in the turnouts. So various horses have different boot requirements. A lot of the owners like the horses to wear boots in the turnout just because we do have pipe corral fencing, and in case they get cast or anything like that or decide to be a bit silly. So this particular mare is a horse that gets front boots put on. I then just put her front boots on so she was all ready to go outside. As you can see, it's super dusty. Just getting her halter on, and then out to the turnouts we go. We have 2 sets of turnouts. One's kind of up against the hillside and one's out in front near the arenas. So here we are at the paddock. We're just going to turn her out real quick. She's normally a pretty chill horse. She doesn't like to run around. She usually goes out and just has a nice little roll, maybe a little nap, and calls it a day. So now that the horses in the back turnouts have been turned out, it's time to put the horses out in the front, and Cinnamon goes out in her front turnout On this particular day, I knew I was going to be riding her fairly early, so I wanted her to go outside before I could ride her, give her a chance to roll around and move her legs a little bit, get a little bit of the, the morning stiffness out. So I'm just putting on her fly mask because lots of flies at the moment. And it's the cutest little cheetah print fly mask. It also has her name embroidered on the front because she's a princess. And then putting her halter on, which I had just cleaned for this video, so it looks nice and shiny. It does not always look like this. I will be completely honest on that front. So just clipping her in there, and then also putting a little bit of fly spray on, because again, flies, horrible. And then once she's all fly sprayed down, it's time to take her out to the turnouts. Here, Ricardo was nice enough to hold the gate open because he had already put his horse outside. So Cinnamon already had a friend out there waiting for her. She also is not usually a very wild turnout horse. She just goes and wanders around and maybe has a little bit of a roll. And then once all the horses are turned out that we have space for, it's time to clean all the waters. So we do have automatic waters, but for the most part, a lot of the owners really like the horses to have buckets just so we can keep track of how much water they're drinking and regulate things like that. But that does mean that we have a lot of buckets to dump and refill. So Cinnamon, for the most part, is pretty clean, so she doesn't usually require too many bucket dumping, but the rest of the horses, a lot of them like to dunk their hay in it, so it's definitely a daily occurrence that'll have to be cleaned. So then it's time to fill the waters, and while I do this, I also usually soak down Cinnamon's hay. Fun fact, she actually doesn't get hay anymore, but that's going to be explained in a later video. But at this point in time, she was eating soaked teff hay, so I just have to soak it before every single meal. And then other than that, just making sure all the horses have water. And then when I'm done doing my least favorite task in the barn, which is coiling up the hose, it never seems to want to lay in the right spot. Okay, waters are now done. Horses are on the walker, horses are in the turnout. Now we just need to wait a little bit. Horses on the walker tend to stay on there for like 30 to 45 minutes, and then horses in the turnout stay out for an hour or more if we have the time for it. So now we're just chilling, probably gonna make dinner in the feed room. And then we'll switch horses around, and then I think it's time to get on my first horse. One of the other things I have on my to-do list for today is to organize my locker, and part of that is organizing her treat situation. So currently this is the size of her bucket of treats, and these are all the treats that I bought. So I have a bigger container, I just need to combine them, figure out how they're all going to fit in here. And also put her little treats in there, and then this will go in my locker. It'll be her new little, like, treat container. So first up is a super cookie. These are made with beets and turmeric, which is really good for joints and inflammation, and also very low in sugar. Next up are apple snaps. These are just really tiny cookies that are good for, like, if she has her kitten already. Taste like apples, pretty low in sugar. Next ones are Reasons. These have hyaluronic acid and one of their joint support things, and are also small and nice little nuggets to use as something to give her when she has her bit in. And then the last little bit is just some leftover treats from what she had before. Okay, so all her treats are in there now. This one's basically empty. It just has like crumbs in it. I'm just gonna put it in her feed bucket. She can eat those. And then the last treat, is the beet treats, and these have to be kept by themselves because otherwise they dry out. So these are going to stay sealed in the bag and also probably go in my locker. Actually, I might put them in the sand purge and then just seal them. I think that's the best idea. So let's go dump that one, and then we'll figure out these guys. Delish. And then just like that, an hour has passed, so it is time to switch the horses around. So first I'm going out to grab Cinnamon and bring her inside so that she can have a chance to drink some water and eat the little cookie scraps that I left for her. before I get on her and ride her. She, at this point, is usually pretty ready to come in, so she's always waiting for me at the gate. And she's a very polite little girl about just waiting for her halter to be put on, and then back out to the stalls we go. I'm really lucky. This barn is absolutely stunning, and especially on sunny days where the trees are still green, I just think it looks like the prettiest place on the planet. I'm really, really lucky to have a spot with so much space and such great facilities. She's very excited to see I left her some cookie scraps in her stall. Did not want me to take off the halter before she got them, but there you are. So Ricardo's just bringing in the other horse that was out there with her, and then it's time to get the next horse that's going to go out where Cinnamon used to be. So I usually have to do about one rotation of horses before they've all been out. This is just the second rotation, second round of horses that are going out. So this particular horse gets 4 sets of boots. So she gets front boots and back boots. This one also is not a very wild turnout horse. She likes to go out there and take a nap. She will lay down and nap for her whole turnout. But she really enjoys how warm the sand gets in the summer. So I think that's her main reason for wanting to nap her hour away. But she is a really good girl, has fantastic ground manners. So I'm just putting her in the second one just in case one of the other barns wants to put a horse next to ours. She's a horse that's really easygoing and isn't going to make any sort of a fuss with a horse she doesn't know. And then just like that, it's time to put horses in the upper turnout. So Ricardo had already put out another horse up there. And then I am just putting out this little gray guy. He definitely uses his turnout. He likes to run around a wee bit, but it's quite good for him. He's just a youngster. And then just like that, it's time to bring the horses in off of the walker. So grabbing the first horse, and he's going to go back into his stall. This guy is a part draft cross. He is quite a laid back dude, but super sweet and super nice on the ground and under saddle. So just quickly putting him back in his little house. He gets a double wide stall just because he's a little bit of a bigger dude. Needs a little bit more space to move around. And then it is time to start getting Cinnamon ready. So at this point, she's had a chance to munch, get a drink of water, do what she needs to do. So I'm just going to take off her fly mask super quick. And then I'm going to put her in the cross ties and give her a good groom before I start getting on. So now that she's in the cross ties, I'll kind of give you a brief walkthrough of our grooming routine. Not anything too crazy in depth, but just what I need to do when I am in a little bit of a time crunch in terms of I have other horses to do, but I still want to make sure she's clean and looks nice. So I start out by brushing her mane and tail because there's usually some shavings. I'm really lucky, despite her being a Palomino, she is incredibly clean. She never lays in her own poo or dirt or whatever. So very fortunate in that I don't have to worry about any stain removing. So I usually start out with that to get the shavings out and then go over her body with a tiger's tongue, just because she gets shavings everywhere. I had already braided her mane last night and it looked still nice, so I just decided to leave it, and just go over her body with a tiger's tongue. And then most importantly, picking her feet. If there's anything that you do before you take your horse out, pick their hooves. Very, very important. She in particular is barefoot, so if she gets a rock stuck in there, she's going to be a wee bit ouchy on it. So definitely always check your horse's hooves before working them, and also after, especially if you're going out on trail or anywhere where they can get something packed into their hoof. Then just like that, it's time for me to go grab all my stuff, and like any true equestrian, I refuse to make 2 trips. So here I am carrying everything that I could possibly fit in my hands, and I decided to go for the Limia Black Loire pad. I feel like it just looks very classy, but also matches everything. And because I was wearing black breeches that day, I just decided to take a bit of a neutral tour for the day. So then, just like that, it's time to put my saddle on. She is quite funny. She's very expressive when I'm tacking up, and she likes to try and help. So you'll see she will bring her head all the way over, and if I ever tack her up in her stall, like, she absolutely loves to be all up in your business. It's genuinely the cutest thing. And here she is, making sure I have full access to her front leg to put her boot on. When she's riding, I do ride her in all 4 boots, just in case she knocks herself doing some lateral movements. These boots I absolutely love. They're the Limia Air Mesh brushing boots, I believe is the name of them. I've had them for eons, and they have held up incredibly well, and they also breathe super well. I am definitely one who reads a lot of research on different horse products and whatnot, and the research going on about boots warming horses' legs and tendons too much terrifies me. So I did a lot of research and chose these boots specifically for that purpose. You guys, look at how gorgeous this brow band is. She's like a little princess. So then it's just time to pop on Cinnamon's little princess bridle. As you can see, I've magically gotten my boots on and my helmet. I wish that happened in real life. But now we are all completely ready, just doing up the last few little buckles, and then it's time to get on and actually go for our ride. Hey, what? Okay, so we're on pony number 1. Obviously is my favorite, Cinnamon. But I was kind of messed up my order of horses a little bit. I was planning to do her last, actually, so I could just take my time with her and enjoy it. And then I was going to do Jolly first, but the client whose horse I'm riding is, oh my goodness, it's a deer. She says, oh, that's very exciting. And there's people running by on the trail. Oh boy. Spicy pone pone. Well, what I was about to just say, it's okay. You're alright. It's very exciting. Anyways. Come on. What I was about to say is the client just texted me and said that she wants to ride at 11 and has to be out of here at 12:30. So that gave me a very quick time crunch because it's currently 10:15. So that's why I just got her ready real quick, because if I don't ride her now, I'll be riding her in the peak of the heat of the day, which is no fun. And also I don't need to do a ton with her today. I just kind of need to like stretch her legs a little bit. She's still kind of recovering from her injections, and she has like good days and bad days. So Friday was a really good day, so I'm hoping that today she'll be feeling good again. So anyways, I have her to do. I'm just going to do a little bit with her, like I said, and then I need to get the client's horse ready, get on him, and then he should be done around 12:30, and then I will feed the horses lunch, and then hop on my last horse of the day. So yeah, it could be a bit of a busy day. And then I am hoping to give her a bath also, so hopefully we'll have time for that, but we shall see what all we have time for. So I will see you guys in the ring. So on this particular day, I wasn't planning on doing a ton with her. However, I will say she is the queen of the hot girl walk. She marches places. She walks with a purpose, absolutely. So recently, at the time this video was taken, we were just working on suppleness, and She has been having a few little issues through her back and her hind end where she just gets a bit stiff and she'll kind of lock up in her neck, as you saw just back there, where she just kind of sticks her head out a little bit and just kind of grabs the bit. So just trying to keep her nice and soft, and all I'm asking for is her to just go around, walk, trot, canter, nothing terribly crazy. She does have quite a short little choppy stride, so it is a bit hard to keep the camera stable, so sorry about that. But she honestly felt really pretty good this day. I was super pleased with how she went. Just a little hack ride, little walk, trot, canter, nothing terribly special. Just getting her legs moving and getting everything out of her system. So here's a very abbreviated version of my ride, but I was super happy with her. And then I took her for a long walk afterwards. Alrighty, now on to horse number 2. This one's one that I school for a little bit and then the owner gets on. So he's a really cool guy. He's quite forward and just needs to kind of learn to relax a bit, come over his back. But he's a whole lot of fun. In between horses, I fed lunch. I also brought in all the horses for the turnouts, so they're all good, which means all the horses have been out, turned out, or on the walker, and they're all back inside again, eating their lunch. So my boyfriend has also left to go eat his lunch. Since all the horses are inside, we don't have to worry about keeping an eye on any of them. So I'm gonna ride this guy, and then I'll probably eat lunch on my own, and then we'll hop on Jolly. This horse is the client horse that I was just talking about, and he definitely struggles with suppleness is his biggest thing. So just working on getting him to work through his back and actually come up and properly take the bit and not just lean into your hands. As you can see, especially to the right, he likes to still kind of kink his head to the left. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but he doesn't like to give you a true bend through his rib cage and his neck and his poll. So definitely just working on that, trying to get him a little bit better off my inside leg in the walk, trot, and canter. And then the owner does get on after me, so it's kind of just to warm him up, make sure he's on my aids, make sure he's listening, doesn't have any exciting little doodads he feels like doing, and then having the owner get on, and I just help her a little bit with him on Sundays. There. Huh? I always forget how tall he is. Gotta do like the splits to get on him. Okay. And then the final horse is Jolly. This is my trainer's horse. He is the coolest on the planet. He is a big boy at 17.1, as you will have heard me complain about when I got on him. But he really is like the nicest horse. He has the energy and personality of a big dog. He just wants cuddles, and he always tries to do his best. He's a little bit of a Boy Scout, but he is very athletic. He does have moments where he, has a little bit of a yeehaw, but it's never malicious. It's never trying to be naughty. He just feels good and needs to have a little bit of fun sometimes. But he is honestly fabulous. I've ridden him pretty regularly since he got here. My trainer imported him from, I don't actually remember where, but somewhere in Europe, as a 6-year-old. and he was quite a spicy boy then. He has calmed down quite a bit since then, but needless to say, the one thing that's been absolutely constant, he's just really lovely to ride and work with. And my trainer, being the incredible magician he is, has done a fantastic job with him, kind of reteaching him how to really come through his back and, you know, do all the movements he's known to do, but actually properly using his body. So now I kind of just get to reap the benefits of that when he goes out of town. I ride him and keep him, you know, moving around and doing a few little movements, nothing too crazy. I usually just do a little bit of lateral work, so some half passes, some leg yields in the trot and canter, and then a flying change or two each direction. Here he just got a wee bit spicy. Just had a little bit of spice. He thought about bucking, but he didn't. And then just changed the reins, so he gave me a nice flying change this direction, and then he did get a little bit strong, so I just asked him to come back down to the walk for a second and then back up to the canter. And then, because he felt nice, I decided to get the change the other direction over a serpentine, which he gave really nice change, and then he had to sit a little bit more because he had a little bit more of a turn to go into. And then, because he was being super good, I didn't ride him super long. I just gave him a little bit of a trot out, much longer than what you're seeing here, and gave him a nice walk. And then it is time to rinse off all 3 horses. So I decided to ride them back to back to back and then rinse them off back to back to back, just because it was a little bit easier, and that way I don't have to get my tall boots wet. So starting out with Jolly, because he was still the most freshly sweaty, I just took him up to our wash rack. We just have cold water. We don't have a warm water wash rack, which sucks. But on a day like this, it's warm outside. The horses really don't mind. It's kind of a nice cool down to have. So I just pop him in the cross ties, and you'll see I have some Sound Hoof conditioner in my hand. I do put that on their hooves before I rinse them off. It just helps the hooves not get dehydrated. And then I rinse off both sides between their legs, any of the spots that are going to get sweaty or have, dirt, and just give him a nice rinse off. And then his face, I will use a sponge to rinse off, that way he doesn't get water in his eye. And then it's time to sweat scraper him all the way off to get all that extra water off. And then I couldn't resist saying hi to Cinnamon. She is a horse that is always talking. So whenever I walk by, I always have to say hi because she's always snickering at me. But then we are off to rinse off Poseidon next. Again, it was a warm day. They all got really sweaty. So exact same procedure as Jolly. We're just gonna give him a little bit of a rinse off and then a nice scrape down. And then he'll dry off in his stall while he eats his dinner. And then same thing for Miss Cinnabon. She just needed a rinse off. She got quite sweaty. Excuse me. She is not the biggest fan of a bath, but she will tolerate it. So I try to keep it limited to not bathing her all that often, which you shouldn't bathe horses all that often anyways, but in the summer in Southern California, it is actually better to rinse them off with water than not to bathe them for risk of, stripping them of their natural oils, because they do get so sweaty. They will get little fungusy bits if you don't. The one thing is, if you do rinse them off on a very regular basis, use the hoof conditioner, any hoof conditioner or hoof oil, to help repel the water from soaking in their hooves and becoming too soft and soggy. And also to make sure your horse is completely dry, ideally, before you put them back in their stall. Here she had to have a little bit of a poo, so we're going to clean that up and then we're back. Sweat scraper her off. but they can get scratches, which is like a little fungly thing on their legs if you're not careful about how dry they are, and make sure they're not sitting in dampness, especially around their legs. Sorry about the lighting, you're gonna have to bear with me on it. We're in the feed room. Obviously, it's not very well lit in here. So all the horses have been fed, all the horses have been ridden, all the horses have been rinsed off, happily back in their stalls, fly masks on, all of that kind of stuff is done. So I think I'm gonna call it a day because it's about 2:30ish. It's kind of the peak of the day, so it's getting really hot outside. The rest of things that need to be done can be done in the afternoon in our kind of night check, and I'll take you guys along with that too. The last thing that I need to do is just finish up breakfast. So my boyfriend was nice enough, he made most of breakfast already, but there's just one row that needs to be made. So we'll do that real quick and then we will take a little bit of a break. And to make dinner, it's pretty simple. We essentially just have a giant whiteboard that has the recipe for all the horses' dinners, breakfasts, and lunches. So we don't actually ask our boarders to create baggies or anything like that. We hand make the batches every single time for each horse, and each horse gets a different set of grain and supplements and whatever else they really need. For us, we just find it's better because then we know what the horses are getting, and we can update it as needed. And if something were to happen where the owner can't get out or whatever, we have access to all the materials and we know exactly what's being given and when and how much. So we just prepare them in buckets and then keep them stacked, feed the buckets, and then make the next meal. So luckily Ricardo had already done most of the buckets. As you can see, I'm just finishing up the last aisle, which is actually Cinnamon's aisle. So here I am just making Cinnamon's feed real quick. She gets a balancer, Cavalier Silhouette, which is very high in protein and fiber. And then she gets a joint supplement as well as her vitamins and vitamin E in a smart pack. And then the last one gets one of the same feeds as Cinnamon, as well as vitamin E and then a few other supplements. And that pretty much sums up that aisle. So then they just get a few carrots and there's dinner done. Okay, breakfast is done now. So I'm gonna head back up to the house, get some rest, eat something again, get some water, and then I will meet you guys back down here for night check. And then it was time to hit the most important priority on the checklist, and that is say hi to Cinnamon. Cutest little pony in the world. So the first thing is to feed the horses that get fed in the evenings. So Cinnamon is one of those, and then there's two others. So I'm just grabbing Cinnamon's hay basket. It's actually an old laundry basket. If you ever need to soak hay, a laundry basket that's perforated like this is fantastic, because you can stuff quite a bit of hay in it, and you can soak it and then lift it and it will drain out of the holes inside. So I highly recommend if you need that. I'm just grabbing a quick flake of teff hay, and I'm just gonna pop it in her little basket, and then also get the hay for the two other horses. So one of them gets a flake of Timothy, and then the other one gets half a flake of alfalfa. Just the feeding schedule of our barn is not the best. They feed the last meal about 2:30 p.m. So it's quite a long time until breakfast. So a lot of the horses, especially if they're kind of ulcer prone, it's really beneficial for them to get fed in the evening, basically as late as possible. So I come down every day and I feed Cinnamon in the evenings, usually like 9-ish, between 7 and 9. But on days like this when I have to work and I want to be down there before the sun sets, it's usually a little bit closer to 5 or 6. So then it's time to feed Cinnamon, who's very impatiently staring at her feed, sitting there taunting her. But she's got to move out the way a little bit.
Watch out, back up.
And then she can happily munch away. And then it is time to wrap Atticus. He is just an older gentleman and he is prone to get a little bit puffy in the mornings. So we just put standing wraps on his back legs and it helps keep the inflammation down. It's nothing to be concerned of. He obviously has been checked by a vet and is very, very well cared for. It just acts basically like a compression sock and makes him a little bit more comfortable in the mornings. because again, he is a little bit of an older gentleman. And I have a love-hate relationship with standing wraps, but on this horse, standing wraps go on so easily. I cannot even explain to you, like, it's a luxury to put his standing wraps on. Like, they go on so easily and they look so nice afterwards. So I actually do enjoy this task. And now that he is all squared away, it's time to go close the doors of the horses who have open stalls. So a few of the horses have little, like, stall guards up so that they can stick their heads out a bit further, whether because they're small or they just enjoy the extra airflow. So I have to go through in the evenings and make sure all of their doors are closed. This guy has to have a mat over his stall, the railing of his door, because he likes to paw, and he will pry horseshoes off like there's no tomorrow. Literally, if you leave it exposed, 5 minutes later, you'll see his shoe go flying. Dude, so that one has to stay covered. So I had to move the mat and close the door. And then there's a few horses over here that all need their doors shut. Benny, for some reason, dropped half his hay outside, so I had to shovel that back in there so he could finish eating his dinner. And then once that was all in there, we could shut his door and open up his little window, and then turn around and do the same thing for this little chestnut, except he did a little bit better job keeping the hay in his stall. And then the last thing to do on this side of the barn is to fill all of their waters. On a day like today where it's kind of hot, they were pretty low, whereas in the winter I feel like they don't drink as much. This hose sucks and it leaks a lot, and this horse's water bucket is really far away, so as much as I try to not drop water on the floor, it gets a wee bit soggy. So then just filling the second horse's water, and then Benny's is going to be the last one. He has a big bucket just on the floor. And then the horse you see to the left actually has an auto water, and he just drinks out of the auto water. He doesn't have a bucket, so I don't have to worry about filling his bucket. And then, oh, look at that. It's time for my least favorite time of day, coiling the hose. This one in particular is even worse than the other one. But we're just gonna pretend that all happened really easily, and ta-da, the hose is coiled. Okay, it is now quite a bit later. Sorry about the sun. It is probably around 5:30-ish. Just kidding, it's like 6:30. The sun is setting and we just finished up evening chores, so we did all the waters, wrapped the horses that need wrapped, fed the horses that need fed. I'm just here closing up the hay room. So all the horses are doing good. Sometimes I will do a second check a little bit later tonight. It just depends on our schedule, but this is kind of technically our last mandatory check, if that makes sense. Just to make sure that all the horses are doing well and good and buckled up for the evening. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I have so much footage to go through, so I hope it comes out well. If you do enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe, because it helps me out quite a bit. And if you have any other video suggestions, comments, questions, whatever, just leave them in the comment section and I'll do my best to respond. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!